Hey guys, I'm Matt Bauer, and in Lesson 4, we're going to be learning about Boolean data types and comparison operators. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new project, and we'll right-click our solution, Add, New Project, select a console app, .NET Core, and we're going to name this one Lesson 4, and hit Create. We'll rename our program to True and False. We'll say yes to rename our class. And then we need to set Lesson 4 as a startup project. Now we're ready to delete our Hello World line and get started. So like I said, we're going to be learning about Boolean data types. And a Boolean value, for those who don't know, can have one of two values. It can either have a true value in it, or it can have a false value in it. And in the computer, that's represented by a 1 for true and a 0 for false. So that's the only thing the computer really cares about. And it's represented in a single bit as well. So the keyword that we use whenever we want to make a Boolean variable is bool with a lowercase b. And then just like all of our other variables, we create a name for it. I'm going to hard code this to a true value, so I'll just call it true value. And I'll set it equal to the keyword true. And let's print it out in a console write line to see what we're dealing with. This is a true value. And I'll add our true value to the end of this. So now we have our label and the value where we concatenate onto it. Let's test out the program and see what happens. We see that it prints out a capital true. So whenever you print out a Boolean, it's going to have a capital T true value and a capital F false value. But the keyword is always going to be lowercase. So let's do the same thing for false. Bool false value equals false. So we'll make a console write line. This is a false value, and we'll append our false value to it. Print that out just to see that yes, it does print a capital F false whenever the Boolean contains a false value, and a capital true whenever it contains a true value. And I want to throw a little bonus knowledge into this lesson. So we're going to remove the space in our label right here. We're going to do a \T and see how it changes colors to this lightish purple. That's because \T is an escape character. So whenever I put \T like this, the computer is going to do a tab. I'll do the same thing to this line, and we'll run it. And we see that our true and false are now aligned because there's a tab here. So I'll close that. So like I said, \/ is what you use as an escape character. So getting back to Booleans, what good is a Boolean? How is it useful? So just having hard-coded true and false values isn't very useful. But what you can do is you can use comparison operators. And that's just something like is equal to, is not equal to. That way you can compare something like two numbers together and get some extra information on those numbers. So we're going to be talking about 6 comparison operators. The first one is a double equal sign. And that's like if I were to say in English, is equal to. And we have to use double equal signs because a single equal sign is already used by the computer for doing these assignments. So whenever you want to give a value to your variables, you use the assignment operator, which is a single equal sign. But if you want to compare a quality, you have to use double equal signs. To do not equals, you'd use an exclamation mark, equals. And that's the same as saying is not equal to. We can continue on. We also have the greater than operator, and that is just the same as greater than. And of course, to go along with greater than, there's also less than. And to finish off our list, we have greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So let's use each of these operators. I'm going to paste some console.writeLine commands, and you can pause the video and type them in on your side. So what we're going to do is with each of these write lines, we see that there's an English statement that can be converted into a comparison. So we're going to start with this first one, 7 is equal to 7. I want to make a Boolean data type. We're going to call it value1. And I want the value of value1 to convert that English statement, 7 is equal to 7, into something the computer can understand. So I'm going to type the number 7, and then I can look up at our comparison operators. Is equal to, that means we need to use the equality comparison, so double equal sign, and then another 7. End it with a semicolon, and now we have the comparison 7 equals 7 being stored into value 1. So now I'm going to append value 1 to the end of this string so that it displays if this English statement, 7 is equal to 7, is true or false. And I predict it's going to be true. Let's continue on to the next one. We're going to need another Boolean data type, value 2, and we look at our English statement, 7 is not equal to 7. So we'll do a 7, and is not equal to is going to be an exclamation mark with an equal sign, and 7. Add that to the end of the string, and 7 is equal to 7. So the statement 7 is not equal to 7 is a false statement. Do that again. Bool, value 3, 99 is greater than, so we look up here, greater than is just the greater than sign, 1. We'll add that. Is 99 greater than 1? True. Bool value 4, here we do the opposite, 99 less than 1, add value 4. So since 99 greater than 1 was true, 99 less than 1 must be false. Now we get down to these greater than or equal to. These can be a little bit trickier. So we'll do a bool, value 5. So we have 2 is greater than or equal to. Come up here and we see greater than or equal to is the greater than sign followed by the equal sign, no spaces, 1. Add that on. So here we have 2 greater than or equal to 1. So 2 is definitely bigger than 1. So this is a true statement. Let's go on to the next one. So we'll have a bool value 6 equals 2 less than or equal to 2. Add that one. So here, 2 less than or equal to 2. So 2 is not less than 2, but 2 is equal to 2. So this part is not true, but we have an or, so we have an or equal to. The equal to portion of this statement is true. So this also evaluates to true. And for this last one, it's a little bit different. We're still going to make a Boolean value, and we'll call it value 7, except now we're comparing a string value. Cup is equal to cup, except the second cup is in all uppercase characters. So this can be a little confusing because they're definitely the same word. They are both the word cup. But does the computer care about capital letters? Does it really care if you use an uppercase C instead of a lowercase c? So we're going to find that out. In order to represent a string, we use double quotes. We're going to say lowercase cup is equal to, and whenever we look up at our comparison operators, is equal to is our double equal sign. So we use that. And now we have our second cup, which is in uppercase characters. Let's add this value to the end, and let's find out what it's going to be by running the program. I'll drag this over so we can see our guesses. 7 is equal to 7 is true, like we thought. 7 is not equal to 7, false. 99 is greater than 1, true. 99 is less than 1, false. 2 is greater than or equal to 1, true. And 2 is less than or equal to 2, which is also true. And we have cup is equal to cup, which is false. So here we see the computer does indeed care if you use uppercase and lowercase values. So an uppercase C is not the same as a lowercase c. And we do have ways of ignoring the case of strings whenever we compare them, because sometimes we don't actually care if it's a lowercase or an uppercase. For example, maybe you're using a username to log in, and you don't want to make the user remember, did I capitalize my username or did I not capitalize my username? Because that can be frustrating. That's one of the things we're going to be learning in a later lesson. But for now, the important thing for us to remember is that the same letter is not equal to itself if one is capitalized and one is not. So that's the end of the lesson, and we can go on to assigning the task. So like always, we'll make a new project for it. Add new project, .NET Core. and we'll call it lesson 4 task. We're going to rename program to true and false task, rename the class, and then be sure to set our lesson 4 task to the startup project. And then on finalparsec.com, we can go to our blog, lesson 4. We'll see our notes for the lesson and then the associated task. So we'll copy it and go back to Visual Studio. We'll select everything in our true and false task file and we'll paste over it. And the task is, below you will see comparison statements written in English being displayed by console.writeLine. Make a Boolean variable that executes the comparison described in the console.writeLine. Then concatenate the Boolean to the end of the string. So the task we have is pretty much the same as what we did in the lesson, except here we also do some decimal comparison, and we have more string comparisons over here for you to do on your own. But the overall task will be the same. I'll give you some time to do that before we display the answer. And here we have it. I hope this one didn't give you too much trouble. Fairly straightforward. Join us on our Discord if you have any questions. I always love hearing back from you guys. Please like and subscribe if you find these videos helpful, and I'll see you next time.